Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, back here on WagerTalk TV with your Fade the Public edition for the NCAA Final Four this Saturday, April the 6th. I'm going to let you know the most public sides and totals. I'm going to cover both games in depth for you here and get you ready for two of the biggest college basketball games of the season this evening on Saturday night. Hey, quick reminder, if you're finding this video useful, thumbs up, a like goes a long way to keeping the content free here on Wager Talk TV. And also make sure you've clicked subscribe. I know most of you have, but also make sure you hit that bell as well so you get instant alerts when these videos go live throughout the week, the free play videos on a daily basis. And also comment below. I read all the comments and I reply back. All right, I did standalone solo videos early this week on Tuesday night for both matchups, several thousand views for both, lots of comments. I love the support. Let's keep it going. But I want to give you an updated look at the public sides and totals for both matchups this Saturday. And we will start by far the most public play of the weekend. Ding, ding, red flag alert. It's in that first game. NC State is a very public dog, and not a surprise. They were a public dog against Duke, but they're looking like perhaps the most public dog of the tournament. And this is a definite consensus play here on NC State, and it's understandable why. They're the true Cinderella story of the tournament. They were the only double-digit seed to make the Sweet 16. Clemson, the 6th seed, was the second lowest seed to make the round of 16. But NC State is getting it done. They're in the Final Four now as an 11 seed. However, history does say that normally they don't get much further, but winning or losing by less than 9 are two different things. So it is a big number. So not a surprise the public is back in the Wolfpack once again. And keep in mind, this is an NC State team that had to win 5 straight games in 5 days in the ACC tournament, including an 11-point dog upset of Duke and a 10-point dog upset of UNC in the finals just to make the NCAA tournament, and now they've won 4 more in a row, including 3 of those 4 as an underdog. In fact, their closest contest, ironically, was against their weakest opponent, Oakland. They were a 6.5-point favorite. They won by 6 in overtime against a 14 seed. Otherwise, their other wins have all been straight up. They were a slight favorite against Texas Tech in the first game, but they've obviously played up to their opponents and played down to their opponents. It's time to play up to their opponents as they're on this monster run here now with 9 straight wins. But what do we do with this NC State team? This team lost 4 straight to finish the regular season. They were on a 4-10 straight-up run the previous 14 games, and nothing has changed. Same players. They are playing much better defense. That is what's changed. They're probably taking some better shot selection as well. But there's no key player that's returned from injury. It's a very unique situation. And that's what I keep asking people that have been riding NC State. I go, what is different from just 10 games ago? Well, we can quantify everything with math and numbers. You know, I love my math. I love my numbers. So let's dig into it a little bit deeper with NC State. I use several different efficiency ratings. This one I use in-house, though, but it's kind of a mix of KenPom, some other stuff. It's all going to be within a few points. But if you look at NC State on the season, and obviously they've been playing better the last 10 games or so, so the rating has jumped higher. But right now, for example, in the KenPom rankings, they're still only the 43rd team overall. They're 40th on offense, 44th on defense. They are well outside the top 50 on both when the tournament started 2 weeks ago. So currently overall for the season, 40 games are the 40th offense, 44th defense. Let's look at just the last 10 games efficiency-wise. The last 10 games, they're the 23rd best offense, 26th best defense, and 15th best team in the country versus 41st. So obviously they're playing better, but they're still not even a top 20 team on either offense or defense. What about Purdue, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked that because I'm going to answer it. Purdue right now, 3rd in the KenPom, 2nd best offense, 17th on defense. Now, they were outside the top 20 when the tournament began. They've been getting a little bit better defensively. That's normally what happens when you win 4 straight tournament games. But what's interesting about Purdue is they're still ranked much better the last 10. Their last 10 games are the 3rd best offense, 22nd best defense, 3rd best team overall in the country the last 10 games. That includes their upset loss in overtime against Wisconsin in the Big Ten tournament. So Purdue is still the better team, but once again, they're a 9-point favorite for that reason. If you look at the efficiency rankings, they'd be about a 10 to 11-point favorite. So this is an example of where the public has lowered the line to single digits. So yes, the line is a little bit short, but then again, NC State is playing better over the last month, so maybe it should be a couple points shorter. Chime in the comments below. What are your thoughts? I know many of you weighed in on my solo video earlier this week, and one common theme was that NC State has more heart, and you can't handicap heart. Well, I somewhat disagree with that, and I'm sure you'll comment here and let me know if you agree or disagree with me. But look, I think every team in the Final Four has some heart. They wouldn't be here otherwise. And let's not forget, Purdue lost to a 16 seed last year. So they've been on a mission this season. They have played much better. The last 3 years, they've been eliminated by a double-digit seed, a double-digit underdog seed-wise in the tournament. And how ironic, they face another one here at NC State. So it could happen again, but the odds are saying there's about an 80% chance Purdue wins straight up as a 9-point favorite. But the public likes the points. They like NC State. It's by far the most public side or total in the two Final Four games. The public is on NC State at 6:09 Eastern. By the way, this game is in State Farm Arena. It's the Arizona Cardinals football stadium. All the games last week in the Sweet 16 and Elite 8, of course, all four venues were NBA arenas, basketball arenas. So the sightlines could be an issue, at least early on in both games Saturday night if the players are uncomfortable with the shooting surroundings. But neither Purdue or NC State relies very heavily on the three-point shot. In fact, there are 362 Division I teams. NC State on the season only 243rd, and 283rd. Purdue 243rd as far as percentage of shots taken from three versus two or the free throw line. So both teams take a below average amount of shots from three. With that said, though, Purdue is the best three-point shooting team in the country. They've been first or second basically all season, hitting over 40.5%. They were actually first last week. They're now second at 40.6. NC State only 142nd. And if you look at free throw rate, Purdue gets the line the ninth most in the nation out of any team, and they only allow their opponents to get their 22.5%, which is sixth best. So Purdue does have some edges down low with Edey, and I think that's the real matchup key here is if Burns Jr. can dominate like he's been doing during this run. He's now facing a 7'4" opposing center in Zach Edey. That game's at 6:09 on TBS. Both games on TBS, not on CBS national TV anymore. It's been like that for a few years, so hopefully you got cable so you can watch these games on Saturday night. All right, let's look at the late game at 8:49 Eastern, the second matchup, Alabama, UConn. On the surface, you could say this is probably the better game, yet it's a bigger favorite. It's more of a mismatch. This line opened 10-10.5 and was quickly bet up earlier this week to 11.5, even 12. It's been going back and forth since. As far as the public in this game, they're pretty split. Some indicators I look at lean UConn. I did see a little bit of public love for Alabama in other spots. So I'm going to call the public neutral on the side here, which is interesting because a team as dominant as UConn you think would be a real public story. And everybody knows that they've won 10 straight tournament games the last two seasons now by 13 points or more every time. No team has ever done that in history. And this line is still under 13. So I do think it rose early for that reason. And if you look at just efficiency ratings for the season, and my power ratings in general favor UConn by 10 on a neutral court. And that is around where it opened, and now it's 11.5, 12. So you are paying about an extra basket premium to back the best team, the hottest team in the nation, but that's understandable. This game comes down to three-point shooting. UConn made only 3 threes against Illinois. You know, if you told me they were going to go on a 30-0 run against the second most efficient offense in the country and overall beat them by 27 or 25 points, never would I have thought UConn was only 3 for 17 from three-point range. That's how dominant they are. In fact, they had a plus 30-point edge from two-point range against Illinois. Now, Illinois and Alabama are very similar in a few ways. First of all, they're two of the 5 best offensive teams in the country. Illinois now ranked 3rd. Alabama is the 4th team in the Ken Palm efficiencies. But both teams are suspect on defense. Illinois was in the 90s when the tournament began. They finished 80th after last week. They actually improved their defensive ranking by holding UConn to 77. Alabama's been outside the top 100 the entire tournament. They still come in at 105. Historically speaking, no team that bad defensively wins the title. In fact, in the history of the Ken Palm rankings, since the 2002 tournament, the last 21 tournaments, every national champ has had a defensive efficiency ranking of 22nd or better. And that was Baylor back in 2021 when they beat Gonzaga. Baylor came into the tournament ranked 44th and got all the way up to 22nd by the time they won 6 straight games. Alabama's nowhere near that. They're still ranked 105 with 2 games to go. By the way, as I mentioned earlier, NC State is currently up to 44th. So historically speaking, neither one of those teams should be able to win the next 2 games. It just hasn't happened in the recent era. In fact, if you look over those last 21 tournaments, 19 of the last 21 national champs have had a top 15 defense, and 18 of the 21 have had a top 9 offense. UConn's 1, Purdue's 2, Bama's 3. These are the top 3 offenses remaining. NC State, of course, once again, 44th or 40th rather on offense. That shows what a Cinderella they are. Purdue's defense 17th, UConn's 4th. So if you're really looking to pick the winner of the entire thing, it's going to be either UConn or Purdue, historically speaking, but that's not a long shot, right? As I said earlier, Purdue has an 80% chance of beating NC State as a 9-point favorite, and UConn has an 86% chance of winning outright as an 11.5-point favorite. And the math there gives us about a 68% chance we do get Purdue, UConn in the finals, about a 17% chance that we get We get UConn and NC State. Surprised it's that high, actually. And about a 12 to 13% chance we get Alabama and Purdue. So that's the least likely of the four matchups. Actually, the least likely is less than a 3% chance we get Bama and NC State, both dogs winning outright. That's not going to happen. That's over a 30-1 long shot. As far as this matchup goes with Connecticut and Alabama, public's pretty neutral on the side. I do see some lean towards the over. And oh, by the way, in the Purdue game, public is leaning over there as well. I'd say they're leaning over in both games, but by far the strongest public play is NC State as a public dog. Tempo is going to be the key to this Alabama-UConn game. UConn plays slow, 315th tempo out of 362. Bama plays fast, 9th fastest team in the country, and that's why they're so efficient offensively. And in their defense, no pun intended, it is one of the reasons also they're not great on the defensive side, because when you score fast and you score easily, it does hurt your defensive numbers a little bit. And that was the same problem Illinois had. But obviously, Connecticut had no problem shutting down a really good offensive, suspect defensive team, beating Illinois by 25. That line, though, was only 8.5. So we are paying a premium of almost 3 points higher now against Bama, and I don't think there's a huge difference. Illinois probably a slightly better team overall this year. The one concern you do have with Bama is they've not been a good road team. Yes, they've won 4 straight neutral site games here after losing the SEC tournament, but heading into the postseason, they were just 6-8 straight up on the road this year, and they've still been outscored on the road by 1.5, giving up 89 points a game, 47% shooting away from home. So UConn should be able to score at will down low. And I think the best way to play this game is actually the UConn team total over 86.5. I mentioned that in my solo video earlier this week, so I know many of you saw that. By the way, I like NC State under 68.5 in that other game. I also mentioned that in my standalone solo video. So go back, check those videos from about 5 days ago. I gave you deep dive analysis why I like both of those team totals under and over in each game. I think they're unique ways to play, because even if UConn slows the game down, I think they can still get there, but I'm hesitant to lay the inflated number. But I'm in no hurry to get in front of this UConn steamroller freight train. My other concern is that Alabama relies heavily on the three-point shot, and that's such a random variant that is difficult to handicap in one game. If Bama is hitting their three-pointers, they can keep this game close. They could even pull the upset. If not, they're going to get blown out. So that's another reason I like focusing on the UConn team total instead, as I think regardless, they can score against a very suspect Alabama D. One other thing that's interesting to point out about this game, the one tough contest that Connecticut has had over the past couple of weeks was the second game, the semifinals in the Big East tournament 2 weeks ago on March 15th, that Friday. St. John's and Rick Pitino said, look, we're going to go down swinging. The only chance we have to beat this big, better team is to shoot threes. And St. John's took 22 three-pointers. They only made 10 of them, but they only lost by 5 points, 95-90. UConn got into a high-scoring shootout in that game. Don't know if they want to do so again, but the pace actually wasn't all that fast. It's just both teams shot pretty well. In fact, the tempo rating on that game was a 68. The game against Xavier before that was a 69. Against Stetson in the first round of this tournament, they had a 69. And they also had a 69, dude, against Illinois in the Elite Eight. So I do think UConn might play more up-tempo than people think, and that's another reason why I like their team total over the 86.5. And once again, that NC State game, I would look at NC State Wolfpack under 68.5. Once again, they don't take a lot of threes. They're not a good three-point shooting team. And with Zach Edey down low for Purdue, I think Burns and the interior is going to have trouble scoring like they have in the other rounds. Hey, let me know your thoughts on these games. I know I did the solo videos earlier this week, but I wanted to give you an update on where the public is leaning. Once again, the public leans over in both games, and they also like NC State as a public dog, somewhat neutral so far on the UConn-Alabama side. But comment below. Let me know where you're leaning. What sides and totals do you like? Include some analysis if you have time. Hey, if you can get player props, throw those in. I know a lot of states don't allow player props, but some books, especially the offshores, do have them. And other unique ways you're looking to play these Final Four games on Saturday night. Be sure to check back. I'm going to try to get a finals video up either on Sunday night or Monday morning for you for the NCAA Finals Championship game on Monday. So yet another reason to hit subscribe and click the bell as well. So if I get that championship video up for Monday, you get an instant alert. Thumbs up, like, and don't forget, if you want my official best bets, I do have a strong best bet in one of the games for Saturday, a bonus free play in the other game posted for everyone on my page right now, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. But look, there's only 3 college basketball games left. The bread and butter sport for the next several months is baseball, the next 6+ months. The NBA is here for another couple months. Lock in now with a 90-day all access for less than $3 a day. It gets every baseball and basketball play every day and night for the next 90 days and nights for less than $3 a play. It's over a $200 instant discount. No promo, actually over a $300 instant discount. No promo code needed. but it's for this weekend only. So go to my page right now for that huge 90-day all-access special. Or if you want just the rest of the NBA season, and you should, it's my number one ranked NBA. In fact, I'm number one this year, once again on sides, 56 and 36 on all NBA sides this season. Number one in the history of WagerTalk.com, not on both NBA, but NBA and college basketball sides combined. This is a great time of the year. I was 29 and 17 in the NBA playoffs last year. Lock in right now for the rest of the NBA season through this weekend and get a huge discount. It's normally $280. Get the rest of the NBA through the finals for just $219, but you have to use a promo code for that one, NBA219, NBA219. Details are on my page right now. Check out that free play. Promo code is in the analysis as well, so you don't have to memorize it. But once again, the rest of the NBA season for less than $3 a day, or the 90-day all sports with baseball and basketball combined. No matter which option you choose, don't delay. Those specials expire this weekend. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. Follow me on Twitter and X as well, at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L, at Steve Merril on Twitter and X. Don't forget, I also post free plays throughout the week on Instagram. Yeah, I'm on IG. Who knew? Follow me and Wager Talk on Instagram. And stay tuned right here to Wager Talk TV for more great basketball and baseball content coming up next.